Okay, look at this. What's up, man?
Hey, yeah.
What's up? So basically, I haven't really used Super Peer for a while, so I did not even know we had all these features. So this is pretty cool. Well, anyways, Bill, welcome, man.
Hi, nice to meet you guys. What's up,
Yeah,
Victor?
yeah, exactly, Bill. So this is another channel, and let me just introduce you to people who watch this. By the way, until we pay for SuperPeer or StreamYard, I keep saying SuperPeer. Until we pay for StreamYard, this isn't recorded. So basically, what we're gonna do is, as we talk, we're gonna have to keep driving people to Rumble. So, or else it's not recorded. They won't be able to see this later. So, yeah. Hey, Gerard Perry's here. We got a guy named Haunted. So, guys, this is Whale, aka
Hey,
Bill. He is a Muay Thai fighter that I featured a lot on my other channel. So we just want to bring him here because he's Asian Canadian and he's told me some funny stories which you guys can find on StreamYard, but or not StreamYard, SuperPeer. I'm gonna confuse those two platforms the whole time. But we want to talk about parenting because I'm sure you had a more traditional type of parenting, right? And now you're kind of more Americanized in your parenting. So there's a lot to discuss. But anyways, I will leave the mic to you.
parenting. Okay, so I'm CBC, right? That's Canadian-born Chinese.
Uh huh.
Technically, I'm ABC because I was born in the States. Yeah, there isn't much difference between. I know Americans, they're more. Well, it depends what state. Every state's like a different country, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I was in LA at the beginning. I created probably when I was 3 years old. I don't really remember too much.
Okay.
But the story goes, how my mom described it was dangerous in LA. I lived in San Gabriel Valley. It wasn't that bad, was it? Not that bad there, is it?
No, no. I mean, San Gabriel Valley was full of Asians.
Yeah, it's an Asian area.
Yeah.
So I met a lot of people from LA, and I'm like, oh yeah, I was born in San Gabriel Hospital or something, and I lived in Gabriel Valley. And I'm like, oh yeah. I know a lot of friends there, or they used to live there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, growing up Canadian Chinese, so I have 2 kids, and I have a third one coming.
Yeah. First of all, congrats on that. And before we keep beginning, let's have you go a little closer to the mic.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little worried. People are having trouble hearing you, so hopefully they can
Okay.
hear you better.
Better now?
Yeah, that's better now. Exactly.
Okay. So where was I? Oh yeah, so I have 2 kids, and I have a son and I have a daughter. My son is 7 years old now. My daughter is 3, and I have one coming on the way. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So anyways, as for me, I do know Mandarin. I don't speak it too often anymore. Well, actually, I do, depending on where I am, but not as often as I have before. But for the life of me, I can't get my son to like learn Mandarin. It's so hard.
Uh-oh. So, do you put him in Chinese school?
Yeah, he's in Chinese school, but he doesn't retain anything
Interesting. Why do you think that is?
because he doesn't need to use it.
Oh.
And all his friends are like, yeah, they're just speaking English, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So even for me, when I was in Chinese school, I never used it. Like I never used my Mandarin. Well, I have with my family, but I never really had to use it. Until like probably when I was in high school, then I started getting more. Um, yeah. Making my Mandarin more proficient.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, were your parents strict parents?
Uh, okay. They were. My mom was strict. I mean, my dad was strict, but my mom wasn't.
Uh-huh.
So there was a lot of conflict there. Like
Interesting.
I think like before our generation, for the most part, our parents were really strict, right? Because
Yeah.
like you have to be a doctor, you have to, and then now it's like, oh, a doctor, engineer, or whatever, or a lawyer, or whatever, right? But
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, you have to give our kids choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, like you can identify it as like a cat now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's how life has changed. That's how our society has changed. Exactly.
Like they went from beating students to like not correcting them when they say they're a cat.
Yeah. 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 They went for I'm sure it's the same in colleges too, right? Um, it was curved to like a B minus or a C to like if you argue with the professor, say you're whatever, you're from a type of group, then they'll give you an A, right? Society has changed a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of participation badges now too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So um yeah, this era a lot of things have changed. Like um yeah, I think like people are just taking it too far with like okay, they have more rights, but some people just take advantage, right? And like they're just with it or they're just now it's like okay, gay people they're like accepted now. It's like it's kind of the norm for the most part, right?
yeah.
Now it's like okay, there everything's a little touchy subject. It's like oh you're infringing on my rights or you know I have the right to do this, I have the right to say this and whatever. It's like the educators they don't even know what to do anymore. They're just so scared of being sued.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, as a parent, are you worried about the world your kids are growing up in? Or are you kind of like, we'll play it by ear? I'm not too worried.
I'm so worried because
Oh,
all technology is so different now. Like back then, we didn't really have to. Only really rich people had cell phones, right?
yeah, exactly.
Now it's like, oh wait, so in Toronto lately, there was like this group of teenage girls. There was like 10 of them or something, and they stabbed up a hobo, right?
They
And
stabbed up what, sorry?
no, they stabbed up a hobo, like a homeless.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. So it was yeah, it's just really really crazy because these girls they did not come from the same areas. So they went online, met up somehow, decided they want to stab people up. Right? Like how are you supposed to like I don't know, parent that, right? It's so
Yeah,
hard. Like, yeah, okay, you have that little parental thing, that supervision thing, but then you really just you can't always be on them like that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah,
then
I can imagine how that could be, as a parent when you're with your kids going to school, that could definitely, yeah, wow. I mean, do you get parenting advice from your parents at all or not really?
okay, so parenting advice. I just get like these little recollections of things where
Mhm.
my mom used to tell me something. Like for instance, when I was young, my mom used to beat me with a slipper or the bamboo stick, right?
Oh.
Always told me this. She was like, "Okay, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you, okay? And you will understand that when you are older, right?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll remember that, right? Because I'm getting beat, so everything's like very vivid,
Yeah.
right?"
Yeah.
So then now it's my turn to beat my son. I don't beat my son, right? But
Mhm.
like his, squishy bum bum, I go a little pop pop, right? And then I'm like, okay, this is what my mom told me. It's going to hurt me more than it hurts him. I go
Mhm.
pop 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 when he's so bad. He's like, it's bad, but it's like he's difficult, but he's not nasty, you know.
Mhm.
So, so it's like I look forward to these little pop pops, because it's right because he gives a little, these pally lips like. And then he just bends over and he's just like, okay, it's coming. I'm like, pop, 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 right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this a little bit too much because it's just too cute, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, I do not, I still don't understand what my mom was talking about.
Mhm. Mhm. I see. I
Yeah.
see. Yeah. Um I mean, you became a professional fighter. So was that something that your parents had to deal with, or were they pretty supportive of that? I've always been curious
Uh,
about that.
they don't like it, but it was already to that point where they
Hmm.
don't care what. No, actually, you know why they don't care is because I have a son now.
Mm.
I know it's like once you start having children and once you get married and have children, like most Chinese parents don't care anymore. Like it's not that they don't care anymore. You're just not as important as compared to their grandchildren.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like even my dad told me like bluntly, he was just like, "Yo, like you don't mean much anymore. It's not like I don't love you, but like it's all about your grandson."
Yeah. Exactly. Because
Oh,
there's a next generation already.
yeah. Also, I have two sisters, and
Mm.
I'm the only boy, right? And as you know, like My dad, he had six sisters and he's the only boy. So like with that name going down, my son was really important. So like once I had my son, like everything was lifted up like much.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. When you and your wife were did you did you and your wife even discuss parenting? I think this is always a funny question.
We grew up very differently. So she, like both our homes were very chaotic, but her family is very loud, right? They're like, you know, the type that will actually, oh, she's actually, her family compared to my mom's side of the family is very similar.
Mhm.
My mom's side of the family, like when they talk during dinner, they sound like they're arguing, right? Same with her family, very loud and obnoxious, like just really loud. But my dad's my dad's side of the family, they're very quiet. They're very quiet and they're very conservative, and they like to finesse things more. Whereas the other side will just yell at you.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot of like aggression and passive aggression. Yeah.
I see. So, do you find that ever kind of influences both of your parenting styles at all?
Yes, definitely. So when my wife yells, right, it gets I guess they get a little bit more immune to it. Like
Mhm.
they're used to her volume. Whereas when I start like getting a little bit more heated up, it actually means something, you know?
Oh, that's interesting.
Wait, so I'll compare it. I'll compare it to like water and oil. Like she's like water; she'll boil really fast, but I'm like oil. So meaning like I would not like you could heat me up, and I would not like blow up or anything. But once I get to that certain point, it's very hard for me to calm down.
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, like the water and oil. Whereas like water, you just need to put like ice cubes in it. Fine.
Yeah. Or
Oil,
even just turn off the heat a little bit and then
oil is
yeah.
like it's like hot lava, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, there's a lot of differences. Her family is more traditional than mine. Um, they're very superstitious, right? I,
Oh.
like my family is like Christian, so they're very but it's not like hardcore Christian. It's actually my mom's pretty hardcore, but in general, it's not that like hardcore. Whereas her family is like from the village, right? And they are very superstitious. Whereas it will like start controlling her life. Like oh, um, my one of my family members passed away, so I cannot attend another family member's or friend's wedding. That it gets to that point. Or for instance, her uncle's wife passed away, so her uncle cannot come to our wedding. Yeah, it was like that bad, and she loved that uncle too. And she was like, we were, some of us were offended, and some of us didn't care, you know. But to like average Westerner, that's like pretty intense. Like, okay, that's like once in a lifetime, and just based on a superstition, you're just not going to come.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. And so you grew up with sisters, right? Was
yes.
there favoritism towards you because you were the boy of the family?
Um, I just got away with. There wasn't favoritism in terms of like gang spoil. I guess it's in a way of gang spoiled too. I got away with getting in trouble. Okay, so meaning like let's say actually I didn't get away with. I just wasn't beat as bad.
Mm.
Like my older sister. Okay, my little sister took like nothing. She's like the baby of the family. Whereas
Mhm.
my older sister got beat the most. My older sister the most. For me, it was just a little bit. Yeah, it was a little bit more lax, but it was still beatings.
Mhm.
Um, for my older sister, it was more. It was more of, oh, you're a girl, so you don't get to do this, and a lot of things are taboo. Like, let's say, for instance, like coming home late, right? For a girl in the Chinese family, coming home late is like really bad because girls can get pregnant, right? But then boys, it's like, oh, you came home late, okay, whatever, man. Like, they're like monkeys, you just can't control them. Like that's their train of thought. Yeah, that's why I think.
That's pretty funny. I see. And so was there difference between how your mom treated you and how your dad treated you?
Okay, so my dad was a little bit more eccentric. He had a very different parenting style. He was very hands off, and he wasn't around too much when he was. it was yeah, there was just a lot of conflict. But as for my mom, she she was extremely hands off. They basically let us do anything we wanted.
Wow.
I have to say. But when my dad was home from Taiwan and my mom was around, they were very yeah, pretty strict. Yeah,
Hmm.
they were pretty strict. They we had certain things we had, like, okay, your job is to go to school, do your homework, get good grades, and just don't cause a mess, don't cause any drama, then you're good. Um, and that's about it. Like everything else, like we can go to the park whenever we want. Like before, we could go to the park when during after like the sun can go down and it'll be like night out. Then it's like okay, it's time to go home. But nowadays you can't do that, right? Yeah, so many predators. There's so many things out there. Or maybe it's just the media just scaring you. So
Yeah, I think part of it is the media scaring you because if you think about it, right, kids now have devices in their hands so they can call for help much easier than before. Like before, if you really got kidnapped as a kid, you're screwed, right? Like now, the kid probably doesn't just have one device, has like two devices. But like you said, there's a lot of our cities have also crumbled a little. Like here in Santa Monica, where I am, like every day I'm passing by at least like 6 to 10 homeless people. It used to be okay 1 to 2, now it's 6 to 10. So I don't know if I had a kid, if I had if I were a parent and I had a kid, if I would just trust the kid just wandering in the park, dude, I would be a little scared.
yeah.
Yeah, funny story. This would actually be a story for the other channel too, but one time, dude, after capoeira practice, I almost got attacked twice, bro. Twice in the span of an hour. It was crazy.
What, like in an alley or something?
One time getting off the subway, this dude came at me, and like I just, like it's not even a post. I just put up a hand up and I just looked at him and I circled around him. But like he came at me, he's like, it was foaming at the mouth too, bro. It's fucking scary. And I told my friend, I'm like, dude, if he actually kept coming, I don't know. I probably would have just ran, dude. I'm not touching that.
Yeah, yeah. I was just about to say it's dirty as fuck. But
Yeah.
I think the crime rate's higher or the exposure, like people just get caught more because there's like CCTV now, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think the other thing is with all these apps now, it's not just like the news pumping up all these stories. There's certain apps like Nextdoor, if you're familiar. If you're on it, it's literally local communities all the time talking. Oh my god, this sketch person, this sketch person. So if you really want to be paranoid, just install one of those local apps like Nextdoor, and then you'll be like, what the fuck, dude? Our neighborhood's falling apart. And if you really want to feel bad, install a police scanner app too. Then you're never gonna sleep at night.
Yeah, the police scanner app. But wait, right now we have do you use Waze?
I don't. Do you?
Yeah, I use Waze. It's like it's so funny because you know the ride. Do you guys have like something called the ride program or it's just ride program? So basically, you know how they have like little checkpoints. They stop you and see if you were drinking and driving.
Okay, sometimes, yeah. Very occasionally, like once a year, I think in LA they might have something like that.
So it's funny because because ever since Waze, you know how you can see like a ride program or something, and you just put police are there, and everybody on Waze can see police, that little police sign, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But it got so people avoided the checkpoints so well to the point that police had to go on city TV and go like, so the local news station and go like, hey, you know, we can use Waze too, so we can just move the checkpoints. So you guys better not just think that you guys are immune or something, right? Yeah, I can't.
Wow.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, you bring up something I never thought about because as a kid, whether when I was in China, even when I was in Chicago, I think. Let me think about this. Yeah, even when I was in Chicago, I played outside. Right, China was the best because you had a bigger community, a sense of community. So we played outside a lot more. And then in America, I mean, when I first came to the DC area, I think I technically was living in low income housing. So we had a lot of kids, and we were like there were no rich kids, right? So we had a lot of fun with our neighbors. There wasn't much of a social economic divide. So we played outside a lot, and because the apartment complex, despite being technically low income housing, it was it wasn't safe, but it was a big complex. Like it was literally multiple blocks. That's how big the apartment complex was. So like as long as you stayed within the apartment complex, usually there weren't too many sketch people. So like for me, I never thought about this, but are kids now safer or not as safe, right? And so yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up because I'm sure the reason I don't think about that is because I'm not a parent. But you know, you're a parent, so you're thinking about that.
Okay, so I think personally, they're less safe. It's
Mm-hmm.
just because of technology, right? Like to order like bad drugs online
Mm-hmm.
on Snapchat or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of like predators, like scam artists, like in the emails. There's people that call you out of nowhere, like the Nigerians or whatever, and they
Yeah.
just like, oh, yeah, I am a customs officer, and then something like whatever, and like, oh, you're a legal citizen, sent through like PayPal or like money mart or whatever, and I'm just like, fuck, like if they got through like a kid that didn't really know what he like didn't know anything, and then like yeah, it was easily intimidated, they could just like cause a lot of damage.
Yeah. I think I see where you come from there. For example, I have this new business phone, right?
Yeah.
And, well, it's not a new business phone anymore, but it was new when I first got it. And today, I got my first scam text. It took them a while to find this number, but I got my first scam text. So you're not safe. Like, I only give this, like, actually, I gave this out on one of my Instagram accounts, so I guess that's how they found it. But I didn't put this anywhere else. So it's like, yeah, as a kid, what if you get one of those texts, right? And then you click on it or something like that.
Oh, well, I almost got scammed, right?
Uh-huh.
Like there's people that I really respect on Instagram that I follow them, they follow me, we're actually friends. And like they just start messaging me about like, hey, can you vote for me for this fighting whatever, just some fighting voting thing, right? And I'm just like, okay, yeah, sure, why not, right? And then I was about to click on it when like when I was luckily I was out of the country actually, so I couldn't do something. I forgot what it was, but it was through text. He was like, oh, can you vote for me through text? And then after I said I couldn't because I'm out of the country, like text message. And then after I said, okay, yeah, I could do it online or whatever. He's like, oh, yeah, let me think of a way or something. And then I just ended up not doing it. And then what happened was like after he was like, oh, my account got hacked. And then like other people just started getting their account hacked too that I know, and then they just have to just like make a new account. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
they're just selling Bitcoin or something too.
Yeah. It reminds me of a similar incident I had where I was served an ad on YouTube when I was watching, and it was a Mr. Beast thing. So I click on it, and then it was asking for my credit card. I was like, what the? And then I looked it up, and it was like some like hacker account or some scam crypto account basically pretended to be like a Mr. Beast affiliate and managed to get approved by Google AdWords to run ads. So everyone thought it was Mr. Beast running some kind of campaign. And so I was like, damn, dude, I am not even safe on YouTube anymore. Like with the YouTube ads, some of these scam ads will get through. By the way, people, you notice I say the word damn. I got to be careful cursing too much and saying anything too much on YouTube. So I put a link to Rumble, guys. I put a link to Rumble. If you guys want to watch more of these talks, we're going to do them more on Rumble, just because the moment I said damn, I'm like, damn it, I said damn, but I'm not monetizing this talk anyway. So guys, go follow us on Rumble. The link should be in the pinned on top in the chat section. So please go follow us on Rumble. Maybe I will even do this. I'll put a Rumble link here, and I will even pin it. So here we go. More talks here. I'll do it like this, maybe, and then I'll pin it. Yeah, anyways. So, yeah, things. And then the other thing I thought about to piggy off what you said, Will, is that remember even on TikTok and stuff like that. So you mentioned like text, but so many kids are using TikTok, right? And on TikTok, I'm sure there's scammers reaching out to these like 12-year-olds, these 9-year-olds, bro. I never thought about it from that angle because I don't use TikTok, but yeah, that's kind of scary, man. You have the entire fucking world that can access TikTok could get to your kid, man.
Yeah. So what you were saying about taboo words. Okay,
Yeah.
so this I might no, I won't get in trouble for this. I'm very, very transparent. Okay,
Mhm.
so what do you call it? ISIS tried to recruit me. That
What?
yes. Okay. This is pretty jokes, okay? On
Hmm.
Facebook, okay, I just made like this really bad joke. Like my wife makes me want to join ISIS.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
So this is what happened, okay?
Hmm.
Kept getting okay. This is when ISIS was really strong. I
Hmm.
like they still had territory. What happened was this thing. I kept getting an email. Someone's trying to log in your Facebook. Someone's trying to log in your Facebook. I kept pressing no. I kept pressing no, 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 and like one time I just like slipped or something, like finger slipped, and pressed yes. I couldn't get in my account anymore. So
Uh-oh.
you know, and then after I typed to Facebook. I'm like, yo, I think my account got hacked or something, right? And then all of a sudden, a profile picture, right, of like I don't know, some like I guess Middle Eastern,
Mm.
and then like a Middle Eastern name just popped up or whatever, and I'm just like, what the hell? They're probably looking through my account, seeing if I was like a viable member or something, right? No, I mean like a recruit, right? Viable recruit. And then after like I got my account back, I did like yeah. So I messaged Facebook all about. I'm like, yo, I think like my account got hacked by like some terrorist or something. I think, and then I was like, should I message the FBI? I don't even think they'll care. I'm like, just messaging everyone, right? And then after, yeah, I think I got hacked because I know for a fact they go. I talked to my Muslim friend, and he was like, yeah, ISIS actually just at that time just goes through the internet scavenging for like recruits, and they target weak people,
Mm.
and then just like people that are just easily manipulated or like just I guess yeah just weak, right? And then I guess they were trying to what do you call it, just figure me out or something because they saw the keyword or they typed in the keyword and something popped up on my Facebook. Yeah, that was
Wow.
crazy, man. I was
I
so
hope you have. Do you have 2FA now or MFA, multi-factor authentication? Do you have that for Facebook now?
oh yeah
Good, good.
the
Yeah. Even Ruckus, from my bigger channel, Ruckus from Martial Arts Journey. Even he got hacked once, man. Dude, these people are relentless. Not by a crazy group, but just by some scammer. And those scammers actually reach out to one of my public facing emails. So, dude, I can't even imagine. The thing is, here's the other angle I'm gonna give though, which is that we can't imagine it, but since kids who've grown up all their lives around this, maybe to them it's nothing. It's like turning on a computer, A person who's 80 might not understand how to turn on a computer, but a person that's 60 can turn on a computer. A person that's 40 might find it hard to download an app, but a person that's 30 definitely can download an app easier, right? So maybe it's just us being old. Kids are like, yeah, this is a scam. I know. Oh, I'm immune to that. And we're just being overbearing because we're not used to it. We can't catch our stupid brains up. So that's my other view I thought about.
it reminds me of yeah, just since we're older and more mature, we see things that people don't, right?
Yeah.
I rewatched Captain Hook with my kid, right? And that was actually a very bad movie. Like not bad, as in it was very well produced. The storyline was great.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was good, right?
Uh-huh.
Captain Hook was actually an addict. Like he was like doing lines, literally doing lines. Like if you look at just rewatch the movie.
You mean the Peter Pan movie?
Yes.
What?
Captain Hook was an addict. I'm telling you right now. There's like at least 4 or 5 scenes of him doing drugs.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and you will never catch that. And I recalled at school when we watched Captain Hook, all the teachers was like this and just laughing, right? And then I was like, what's so funny, right?
Yeah.
And they go like, oh, you'll know when you're older. And then
Wow.
I don't remember that, right? Until I rewatched it now, and then I'm like, oh, so that's what happened.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Like Captain Hook was back. He kidnapped kids. He was basically like a pedophile.
Yep.
And then, like he went into people's homes and kidnaps kids, right?
No.
And he was a drug addict.
Yeah. So Mad Song 1 was asking the Robin Williams one. No, not Hook. but the original Peter Pan. So, similar vein, dude. If you watch a lot of these Disney movies, man, as an adult, you'll be like, they were priming, conditioning us to see shit that we weren't supposed to see, man. My perfect example, Snow White. I even noticed this when I was a little kid watching Snow White. When the hunter refuses to kill her and he cries, he uses her skirt to wipe his tears. Did you know that?
Yeah.
I noticed as a kid, and none of my friends believed it. And I showed them that scene. He uses her skirt to wipe his tears. Snow White, the fucking Disney cartoon.
There's so many hidden messages, right? And that's why, like, yo, Disney was demonic and all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh, can it really be? But I don't know.
I'm telling you, man. Remember The Searchers? Remember the movie The Searchers with the two rats that went down to save the girl who got kidnapped? Remember that?
No.
Watch that, man, because the bad lady, the antagonist, had two crocodiles or alligators. I forgot if they're crocodiles or alligators that like did her bidding. And one time the girl tried to escape and they captured her and they carried her in a way where her underwear was showing. It's just crazy, man.
Alice in Wonderland, they were all doing drugs.
Oh yeah, Alice in Wonderland was just. I mean, the reason I'm so weird is because that was my favorite movie as a kid, man. I'm like going on an acid trip every weekend. I love that movie.
Oh wait, so my friend wants me to do was it ayahuasca? No, he wants me to do DMT.
Mm-hmm.
So bad, and I'm just like, no,
man,
no,
yeah, exactly.
No,
Exactly.
because I get really dangerous when I'm I freak out. Like if I want to defend myself or defend someone,
Mm-hmm.
like yo, like I need two big guys to like grab me right now.
Yeah. Yeah, especially a guy like you that's a fighter. You got to be careful when you're in an altered state because you'll be the type to crack skulls, man, if things aren't good. So it's best to stay away from stuff. Yeah. So for viewers, I'm going to put this on the screen. As you can tell, Bill and I are doing the kind of talking that used to be popular on YouTube, but this stuff, I'm never going to monetize this talk, right? But I just don't even know if I can keep doing these talks, unfortunately, because, we're talking about it's like guy talk, right? But it just, unfortunately, we're mentioning subjects that could get this channel in trouble. So if you guys want to see more of these talks, go on Rumble, please. Go on Rumble, follow us there, and we'll do more of these talks on Rumble. So I'm going to leave it up on the screen here for now. But, yeah, I mean, here's a question for you. What types of content do your kids watch? They're still, would you call them toddlers still, or they're slightly bigger than toddlers?
My daughter is a toddler.
Uh-huh.
She's into something called LOL dolls now.
Oh.
Yeah, they're pretty freaky looking.
I'm going to look for this now.
They're like bobbleheads, and then they have a small body, and then like they have big ass eyes. Yeah, they're kind of freaky looking, but yeah, but I think the dolls back then are the freakiest, right?
Yeah.
Right, that like just all like curly hair, and then just like they make movies about it now, right?
Yeah, the Annabelle dolls and all that. Yeah.
Like especially when it's like you have to keep them like neat and tidy, and like you can't drop them or they'll break.
Yeah.
Or they'll crack, like their face will crack, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Mystery Man says the internet is not for kids. I totally agree. Especially, you can age gate your internet, right? Much like you can age gate YouTube. But look at how much stuff slips through. Even if you look at YouTube Kids, okay? I'm sure, Will, you know this. Sometimes, like, you'll see fighting videos and stuff like that on YouTube Kids. So it's like age gating doesn't solve all the issues, man.
But no matter what, as like a boy, all the boys after like probably grade 1, they'll all of them will get together and be like, yo, I just I found a way to watch porno.
Yeah.
And all you guys are just going to watch on iPad and just like start watching. Right?
Yeah.
Porno is not good for kids. Like I like the porno now. Well, yeah, the porno in general is just, I feel okay. I have a solution for this because
okay.
Usually, okay, so these kids are learning about sex. Okay, I guess sex education, whatnot, right? Okay, you use a condom. You like, just it has to be consensual or whatever, right?
Yeah, or they just say abstinence, right? Which is they're like, Yeah, we could do a whole. In fact, since we're talking about parenting, let's definitely save this for later. We could talk about all the stupid sex ed classes that we had to take. But anyways, keep going with your current thought.
This will be a teaser for that one.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
Porn is usually okay, like just a guy that like this tattoo roided up dude, just like slamming this chick, right? And then and then like the girl doesn't even look like she's like right? And then like these kids are learning from that, like that's their main source of education. Like, but so when they start with one girl that's a virgin, hopefully that's a virgin, he's a virgin, and they're both like trying it out, right? He's going to try and do that, right? So I think the solution would be like, okay, maybe we should have like sex for kids, not with kids, like pedophilia or whatever, like sex for kids. Like this is how sex is supposed to be, like, you know?
Almost like first time sex, basically. You teach
Yeah.
that course.
Like this is what you do. This is how you do it. You know, right? Please don't do this, right?
I mean, I agree with you because sex ed, damn, they were teaching sex ed in 5th grade where I was in the DC area, right? It was the stupidest shit. Like, no 5th grader, I mean, maybe one 5th grader was getting it on, but no 5th grader was getting it on.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, the other part about how stupid sex ed was when I was in elementary school was the teacher said if you giggle, crack up, laugh, you're going to get sent out of the room. You're going to get in trouble. So you turn it into even more of like a taboo subject. Like, we should find it like funny. You know, that's part the human, like a bodily function. Just like we think poop and pee is funny. Like, sex shit should be funny, you know? But like the teacher made it so serious.
And she knows exactly which of the boys are going to crack.
Dude, I know middle school was the same. It just, you learned more terms, but it was the same thing. Half of sex ed was teaching you about STIs. Now it's called STIs. Back then it was called STDs.
So,
Yeah, but, I mean, dude, one day, how are you going to give the talk to your kid, man? What's your plan?
okay, so yeah, the talk he knows already, because I always make fun of my son, right? I'm always like, Daddy, where did I come from? I'm like, you came from my balls. I always tell him you came from my balls, and then he's like, oh, then, but mommy said you came from, mommy said that I came from her. And I'm like, no, you came from my balls first, okay, Tristan? and then and then you flew from my balls to your mom, and then your mom, you know, had you in her belly, and then and he's like, oh, right?
That's a good, honest talk. I like what you gave. Yeah, like, you didn't pussyfoot around it. You just kind of, like, told it as is without going into too much detail.
Yeah.
I like that.
and then like, okay, he did catch us once, right? Me and my wife, and he was like, "Yo, what were you doing?" You know, like I was like, "I was just wrestling with your mom, okay?" and then he was like, "Oh, okay." And then he asked me like, "Oh, how did you make me?" Like, I told him how, like, what happened, but I didn't tell him how, right? And I was like, "Oh, I wrestled with your mom, and then you came out." Right? And then yeah, so it's pretty funny. So now
he knows now.
that he knows not to wrestle with girls. He thinks if he wrestles with a girl, they'll get pregnant. But yeah, I have like so many sex stories. It's so funny. Like my in the beginning stages of my sex life was just hilarious. It's pretty funny. But that's a topic for next.
Yeah, we should do another talk on that. Maybe on Rumble. Just because, you know, like, this, when we start talking about those topics, it might really probably get everything age restricted or something at least. But yeah, guys, go follow. I'm gonna give Will's Rumble too. I think you created one too, so make sure to follow us on Rumble because, as you can tell, we're having fun here, but we can't have too much fun on this platform because I get it, I get it, but I don't get it. Here's my little rant about all this, okay? Yes, YouTube's a private company, but anyone theoretically can go on YouTube. So you have a bigger responsibility to the public than just be like, oh, it's a private company. Oh, we can do whatever, you know? Like, anyone can go on YouTube. So you're a public-facing company, man. You gotta not just enforce your own ideologies. That's just my little rant about this.
I mean, they pick and choose what they want on their platform, right? And then they say, oh, you can't have this. Like, let's say this promotion, fighting promotion is too bloody or something.
Yeah.
But yet they have like Scientology, which is like they prey on people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like some cult website or whatever. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So, we talked about your parents treat. Do you find you treat your daughter versus your son differently? That's a funny topic too.
Completely different. I care more about my daughter when she either struggles, gets hurt, or starts feeling down. Right? As for my son, it like for my daughter, I have like this mentality. Oh, I got to protect her. I got to take care of her. Whereas like for my son, I have this mentality of like I just got to guide him through life. Right? I just got to be impactful, and that's about it. Right? Whereas my daughter is like, I'll baby her forever, and then I'll pass her on to the next dude. Right? Yeah. It's kind of like that. Well, I'm supposed to be more fair in like the 21st century, right? Just a little bit more, but I just instinctively do that.
Yeah. I think every guy instinctively, if he has a daughter, he's going to be much more protective. And that's why a lot of times daughters get along better with their fathers and don't get along as much with their mothers, right? And that opens up another can of worms, which is in the West, it's mostly single mothers and a divorce raising kids. Yep. So it creates a lot of trauma, both for boys and girls, you know? We talk about how single mothers who raise boys, it really messes up the boy, but it messes up the girl too, you know, because you don't get along with your mom as well as you get along with dad, unless your dad's a deadbeat or an asshole, right? Then it's like, but like you said, like the fact that you say you treat your daughter slightly better than you treat your son, it's not surprising because she's your daughter, she's your baby girl.
My daughter is like, her personality is just like me. She's like a little savage, you know? Like when she was just learning her words, she had a very limited vocabulary, right? So I gave my son like a cheese string, and then this was in the van, right? So I'm like in the front, and then they're at the back, and then I gave my son a cheese string. I was going to give her one, but she was like, "Daddy, me too." Right? I was like, "What the hell is this little piece like a gorilla, little gorilla?" I'm like, okay. Right? Or for example, like oh, she gets embarrassed like me too. Like she's very prideful, right? She loves playing rock paper scissors, right? But she can't really control her fingers yet. But like, okay, rock paper scissors, right? And then I'm like, paper. I do it really slow, so she knows to do scissors, right? But her little finger, she can't do scissors yet. And then she doesn't want to play anymore because she's so embarrassed. Like, ugh. And then it's like, okay, never mind. I don't want to play anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds like one day your daughter might become at least a part-time martial artist.
She has the fight in her. She has that dog in her. My son might hurt people. Yeah.
Wow. And does your wife, is she stricter on your daughter than your son?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
It's so bad because like my daughter, the way she talks, she's very loud, right? And then like sometimes she'll be disrespectful to me, but I wouldn't know. Well, I do know, but I just kind of let go more easily. My wife will come and go like, "Don't talk to daddy like that." I'm just like, "Oh." Right? But same with my son. Like one time he doesn't hit, he would never think of hitting his mom, but there was one incident where he went like, and then stopped, right? And then I was like, "What the hell?" And then this is the only time where I actually hit him and it actually really hurt. I slapped him in the thigh, like really hard. And then he still remembers to this day that slap on the thigh. Right?
Wow.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh my God." Right? That hurt so much. His older cousin that he looks up to a lot is so smart. Like he used to get into trouble at school, right? Basically, like he put the school into lockdown. Like he had so many problems at school. I think he was grade 4 at that time, right? And then he had he led the class when the teacher wasn't looking to the storage room or some room, and all the kids just followed them, right? Okay, I know it sounds stupid. It sounds pretty funny, right?
Yeah.
People went to lockdown, and police came, fire trucks came, everything, right? Because a bunch of kids were gone, right? He got into so much trouble, and they're like, "Yo, this kid has like behavior issues. Like something's got to like change, right?" So they ran tests on him, and turned out he was a genius. Yeah, it turned out he was actually like gifted, and then because he was just so bored at school and in his classes that he just acted up, right?
Yeah.
So he got transferred to what do you call it, a school for in Canada, a really famous one for gifted students, right? And they're all eventually going to become like government property or something. I'm just
I
like,
mean, if it's government funded, then probably they're gonna become government property
yeah,
somehow.
man, dude, you're getting like the best of the, well, at least the province, right? Like most of them are going to go to like CSIS, which is our equivalent of the FBI, right? Well, some of them, not most of them, and then some are going to go to the army, right? He's studying engineering now, right? So he's like, yeah, he's pretty smart, but it's his genes too. He has a really smart father. Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
yeah.
Noctis the Human Slayer said it happened to him too. So he actually put the school into lockdown too.
Yeah. They
Have you ever had incidents like that where you put the school into lockdown?
I'll get end up in the hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's so smart. Okay, so I try, like so he's like trying to talk to my son, right? He's like, well, his cousin. He was like, yeah, they can't really do anything to you. Like they can't really, like, once you find out that like just go like, you'll just beat me or like whatever, like they're just not going to beat you and they'll just like give up. Like you guys, you have the power, right? And then I'm just like, oh crap, don't tell him that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Jaren, like when he's bad at my house, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to bring out the little stick, right? And then my son's like, oh no, the stick. And then Jaren's just like, I was like, oh crap.
Wow.
My son's a little wimp.
Yeah, exactly. So Noctis said he also went to an alternative school too. So, dude, sometimes those alternative schools will mess you up, man, too. So just be careful, right? But it sounds like your nephew, he's at a pretty good place.
Yeah, he's at a very. I think he yeah. I noticed that all short kids or short people are smart. All the bosses, most powerful people I know are all short. I think because of nature, like you can't really defend yourself as well because you're short, right?
Yep.
So you have to find different ways to defend yourself, right?
Yep.
Like all the richest, most powerful people are all shortest.
Yeah, that's very true.
Napoleon, right?
Yeah.
Who's short? Kim Jong-il was probably short. Right? He was short. He had to wear platforms. Yeah. Kim Jong-il was short.
Yeah.
Who else?
I'm looking at Jeff Bezos' height. Let's see how tall he is.
Yeah.
Oh, he's 5'7". Yeah, 5'7" on a good day. So yeah, he's definitely short.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, dude.
Like, you know.
Wow. Yeah. When I worked in PR, my boss, awesome dude, but he was probably 5'5".
Yeah. Short people.
Yeah.
So my boss is short at the boxing gym. He's really short.
Was he a good boxer?
No.
Oh, I see.
He's just very good at actually very good at talking.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a very he has a very powerful family background. His dad is a top cop in Beijing.
Wow.
A lot of money, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All these kids like in the Asian circle, especially the Fabi guys, like most of them, the rich ones, all have government connections.
Yeah, that makes sense. Another question about parenting, which I think is very a good question to ask about generational differences. So growing up, did your parents try to put you into a lot of stereotypical activities, and then now do you try to put your kids into stereotypical activities?
Okay, so Tristan is exactly like one of those stereotypical. He goes to so much extracurriculars, like he goes to swimming, he goes to piano, he goes to soccer, he goes to martial arts too. goes to Chinese school. He goes to camp. Like there's this camp now right, that he's going to. There's no electricity, so it's basically real camp. But you get to make stuff. It's basically Boy Scouts, but yeah, just a little bit more not as outdoorsy because it's winter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, I was messing with your mic, so I found out how to mess with your mic, so it should sound better. I turned off echo cancellation because I don't think you need it.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
just charged. That's why.
Yeah, so hopefully that's good. Hopefully that viewers let us know if Will sounds better. And then I turned off automatically adjusting the mic because you can hear me well, right?
Yeah, I can hear you
Yeah.
perfect.
So I turned off automatically adjusting the mic because unless you're outside and there's a lot of noises, I don't think you need to trust the machine, right? Talking about AI, sometimes I don't trust it. Like just you know how you talk. So yeah, hopefully we can hear you better. I mean, I was hearing you well, but sometimes there'd be times where it would cut out digitally. So I was like, okay, gotta fix this. But yeah, so he is a little spotty, says Noctis. Yeah, hopefully that fixes it. What I just did. Yeah. So, what about your daughter? Like, do you and your wife have a plan for her? Like, okay, we're gonna put her in all these activities, or it's like kind of just wait because she's so young right now.
I don't think she cares as much. And to be honest, she's not dumb. Okay, but okay, my son is very book smart. He's extremely book smart. He's just like his mom. But when it comes to like common sense and like his social skills, it lacks a little bit because
Mm-hmm.
he's still growing into himself.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a little bit more shy and insecure. He's still like very impressionable. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
my daughter, she was like fighting with the big kids from the get go.
Wow.
She was like, "Oh, don't take my toy. I will like try to bite you or anything." Right? Um, it's weird too because like both of them they have like their strengths and weaknesses. We kind of just like adjust our parenting from based on whatever they're good at.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's interesting too because on one hand that's good, right? It's good to adjust your parenting based on the kid, but one day your kids are probably going to notice, hey, we're parented differently. So that's a conversation you're going to have eventually. You got to explain it from like a more logical way when the kid will understand it one day, but there might be sometimes when they're like jealous or something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Even now with this third kid that
Mm-hmm.
isn't out yet, I can tell for sure my wife is going to be like completely different with her or him because
Mm-hmm.
like my wife, the first kid, she was like, "Oh, I have to take these pills. I have to eat this. I have to sleep right. Like I have to like control my mood and not be as angry because maybe the kid will be angry.
Yeah.
Just like little things, right? Whereas like now she doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
She just doesn't care. She's like, it's my third one. She even tells the midwife, I don't care. I'm like, oh. She's like, I've been through this. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could see how like the third child can be like completely different
Yeah.
than
Yeah. Usually, right, the third child is the risk taker, or they always say the middle child sometimes is the risk taker, but the third child usually the risk taker. The middle child usually is more autistic, right? Because once there's the third child going in the world, the middle child doesn't get as much attention, and he's also not the oldest, so he usually goes off in his own kind of like artistic inner world.
they say the second child's evil.
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends on when you have the second child and the third one, right? Because the second child is almost always going to act out a little bit just because he was the baby and that, or in your case, she was the baby and then she's not going to be. So,
um what do you think is like the best age? Yeah. I know there's like pros and cons, both like a big one or a short one. What do you think is better?
oh, like the interval between
Yeah.
kids? Oh, man. So I know of people who were like 15 years difference from their kids, as in their younger sibling, right?
Crazy. That's
And
like a uncle.
Yeah.
or auntie.
Yeah, that's a whole generation. That's very
Yeah.
different, right? But like, so I know those situations, and the complaint that the older kids always have is, "Oh, you fucked up my childhood because you were so strict, and then you feel guilty about it. So then my little brother or little sister, you're like doing everything right with them, and then like, so there's it's not a jealousy, but it's like f you parents. Like, why couldn't you just like listen to me as a kid for the first time, and then not have to feel guilty?" So I think that's the one thing you do see with that type of really large interval. I know quite a few of them who are like really large interval, but on the other hand, like it's really good for the little kid. Like if you're by luck, right, you were the little kid in that type of siblingship where you had an older sibling that was like 15 years older, chances are you're probably okay. But then I think about there's another viewer that was just annoying, and he was like he had like four older siblings, and they had him when the parents were much older, and that guy was just so lost in life. And every time I want to talk to him, I want to be like a big brother to him, but I'm like, it's not my fucking duty, you know. He's got four older siblings and parents. Like, get them be your fucking family for once. So like, I think if your parents take a too lax approach, it's like, oh, we had like four kids already, whatever. You know, we'll just let this kid do whatever. If it's a type of kid that needs guidance, then that's not good, right? But if it's a smart kid and you can let the kid blossom, that's really good. Like, you know, we talk about helicopter parenting, tiger parenting. I think, yeah, I don't know. The To answer your question, this is something I am not sure of, and I guess I will be learning from you because you have kids that are pretty close together, so.
Well, it's so different as compared to now to back then, like China back then, right?
Yeah.
There used to be like 8 siblings or like
Yeah.
10. It was very normal.
Yeah.
Back then, if you were poor, you could sell a kid.
Yeah, you could literally sell your kid as a servant or something, or even worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
The common thing, your parents probably did this to you as a kid too. Like when you would misbehave, sometimes your parents were like, "I'm just gonna sell you." Did your parents ever say that to you?
I could always make another one. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd always say that. The two most common things that millennial kids heard from their parents is either "I'm gonna go sell you" or "I'm gonna send you to Africa."
Yeah. Oh, so I psychologically like just broke down my son in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
So when he doesn't eat his food, right? I'm like, Tristan, I'm going to put up the UNICEF commercial. I'm going to put up the UNICEF commercial, right? And then I put it up. Literally, I put it up, right? And then like the most vivid moment for him was the African children, they're ripping out and hungry.
Yeah.
Right? He was literally looking at it, traumatized, but like eating.
I mean, see, this is an example of using technology to your advantage as a parent, right? So, like, we didn't have that back in the day. Like, the parents couldn't queue up a UNICEF or, "In the arms of an angel," that type of commercial immediately, but you can. So, like, it's more vivid. Instead of being like, "I'm going to send you to Africa," or as viewer mystery man says, "I'm gonna send you to China," just queue up a video of like starving children. It's cruel, but it works.
It's also kids are smart nowadays. Well, they can get smart and they can like they can attain information very easily.
Yeah.
So let's say if you're an adult and you try to lie to them about something, it's like, yo, I'm just going to Google it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm a famous fighter. Really? Let me see.
Yeah.
No, you're not, Uncle. You're like, crap.
But in your case, you are. If they search your name, they'll find so much stuff, especially on my channel. Yeah, it was so crazy. For those of you who don't know, because this is a different audience. I mean, I met Will in the funniest circumstances because the videos that featured him for years in China were titled wrong. So I just went with it because I didn't know it was wrong. And then he reached out to me. He's like, "Dude, you covered something that was incorrect." I was like, "Oh shoot, okay, I gotta correct it." So that's how I met Will. I was like, "Damn, you are a true fighter," because you could have like been like, "Oh, I'm gonna fly to LA and try to fight Jerry."
It's funny because I was actually, when I typed that email to you, right? I was in Disney. Yeah, I was in Disney, and then I was so mad during that Disney trip, right? Because
Oh no! Oh, I ruined your Disney trip.
like, huh? What the hell? So I looked at it, right, and then after I go back to the Airbnb, and I'm like typing, right? And then my wife is just like, "Yo, you're typing with so much passion right now." I was like, oh,
So you were really pissed. Damn, you controlled it well. I didn't notice you were pissed in the email. You must have like rewrote it.
no, there was the first email, and then the second email where it came, if the response wasn't the correct response I wanted.
Damn, you were in Disney. Damn, dude, you didn't tell me that part.
That was,
Damn, you were in Disney. Damn, you could have come to LA to fight me. Damn, dude. Oh shit.
I was
I
like,
saved myself a beating because I legitimately didn't know, right? So I was like, oh shoot, okay, he's reaching out to me with the right issue, and then I was like, okay, all right.
yeah, it's funny, but I was in Orlando Disney, not the LA Disney.
Oh, okay, then that would have been harder. You could have still flown over, but it would have been harder.
Yeah, it would have been easier. It's like I'm in the States anyways.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So you were in the big Disney. Holy shit! And your friend called you.
Yeah, my friend called me, but then it's data, right? So it's not like, yeah.
Wow.
But-
Wow. I didn't know about the Orlando Disney part. Back then, it was just a son, right? No daughter yet.
yes, it was just the sun. Yeah, I'm pretty
Wow.
sure. Yeah, yeah. It's just the sun. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk about this too because our parents didn't really live like a digital media legacy, but your kids will Google you and like find your fights, and then they'll find coverage on my channel. They'll find a lot of stuff. Like, what's your thoughts on that, man?
I haven't really thought about that,
Mm-hmm.
but I have thought about things that I have posted online when I was like literally like maybe grade 4 or 5 or 6. You remember Asian Avenue?
I don't. Tell me more about that.
Asian Avenue is basically like the Facebook back then. For
Oh, Asian Ave. Okay, so you guys use Asian Ave. A lot of people on the East Coast in America use Zanga, if you remember Zanga.
I remember. Okay, wait. Before Asian Avenue and everything, it was ICQ. Remember ICQ?
I think so.
ICQ was like what was ICQ? It was like Messenger. It was like Microsoft Messenger. But
Mm-hmm.
no, actually, Microsoft Messenger was better. Um, but then Asian Avenue came, and then there was Zup. Yeah, something called Zup. Yeah, Asian Avenue. There's like embarrassing pictures that came up. I'm like, yo, like this is like on the internet forever, right? And then obviously you do not really like think about posting things up. I mean, like when you post stupid things up, you don't really think twice about it. Right?
Yeah.
And now that I'm like an adult, I'm like, damn, that's probably still online somewhere. So I pick that up like after.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what about your kids when they start posting, or will you not allow them to post?
Have that talk with them. I'm like, okay, like people can blackmail you, people can like bully you, people just yeah, that camera is so powerful.
Yeah.
Like kids have committed suicide too with like
Yeah.
group chats, like whatever bullying. It's just crazy nowadays. And actually, I think it's worse in Asia. No matter what the bullying is worse in Asia, right?
Yeah.
Because they care. They care here. Like if you're a bully and you're bullying a kid, you could like get arrested or like you could just like get into a lot of trouble, suspended or whatever, right? But in Asia, my cousin, right, he got bullied by his grade. He just looks very geeky, right? And what happened was he got bullied by these 8 kids, and he had to transfer school, right? Because he was bullied way too much. Now, if that was North America, they would kick those 8 kids out.
Yeah. They would at least have a very serious talk with those 8 kids.
Yeah, so he had to it's almost like in jail, like they had to actually protect them because the general population would just eat them.
Wow.
But
That's
he's really smart. He's a rocket scientist.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I think just generational, but also just educational in general. the really weird people, don't treat them too mean, man. If at best, try to just distance yourself, but don't treat them too mean, because those people sometimes become like the Mark Zuckerbergs, or they were rejected by society.
And the nerds will appreciate you way more than your like normal friend. Like they'll actually be there at your darkest moments.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
All my nerd friends are just like the real ones, you know?
Wow. Wow. Dude, Noctis was talking about, so he caused a lockdown once and he had to go to an alternative school also because of bullies. So Noctis, feel free to share, man. Tell us more. So Noctis, if you want to tell us more, please tell us more. While we wait for Noctis's sort of message or his story, our person, I'm not going to say his name because I know it's a anger spot for you, but I think I told you this. He was actually bullied real bad in school. That's part of the reason his personality is the way he is. He actually stabbed a few of his bullies. I don't know if I told you that story. He stabbed a few of them to the point where he punctured one of their lungs. And the way it works in China, you can't, like, a lot of times you deal with this privately. You don't want to get the state involved. So he stayed home for a year, and his parents, like, went and paid off all the people he stabbed. Like, that's his origin story.
Yeah, so when I was in Beijing, right?
Uh-huh.
Rules are like completely different there, right? Laws, the culture. And then, my friend was like, okay, get into a fight, it's okay. You could do anything, but like either speak out to the government or do drugs. Just those two are
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay. So if I were to like stab someone or like beat someone up or like because we were about to get into a fight, right, with this other group at a bar or karaoke, I forgot. And then he was like, yeah, don't worry about it. You pay your way out of anything. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? He's like, yeah. So what usually happens is they'll put you in a room with the guy that you hurt, and then the cop will be like, you two are sitting here, and I'm sitting in the middle until you guys agree on a price. Then you guys can leave. Right? It's like, really that easy? Yeah, that easy. And the cop will be very fair with it too. He'll be like, yo, you're asking for too much, or like, yo, you're asking for too little. Right? And then I was like, oh, interesting. Very
Yeah,
good.
yeah. The caveat I will add to that, Will, is that you don't get violent with anyone involved with the government, right? So do not touch the police. That's the key. You can fight other people, but like don't touch the police. I've heard expat stories of people who like literally like hit a cop or something, and then they were like not even Chinese citizens. They were in jail, in Chinese jail. That's scary.
The police, they're so untouchable. They don't have guns there. Like you just literally walk in plain clothes. There's nothing. There's not even handcuffs. Most of the time,
Yeah.
like, yo, I'm a cop. Listen to me. Yeah, but they come in packs. Though.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Yeah, Mr. Sam is saying that if there were too many people as bullies, it's hard to kick them all out because your school's losing a lot of money. That's another view. Yeah.
And also, like I think the hazing in Asia is just way more intense. They're just so creative with it,
Yeah. I mean, some of the most popular television series in China are all about hazing.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, when I went to high school, bro, freshman year, kids were actually being hazed, like shoved into lockers and stuff. By senior year, it showed how society changed already in the span of 4 years. And I'm glad it changed to this, but I'm also eating my words because it just went so much more extreme afterwards. But anyways, before I get ahead of myself, by my senior year, it was like, we're going to do friendly hazing. So, like, we had, like, cute little ribbons and cute little, like, things we gave to kids we wanted to haze. Yeah. So, that's how it changed from the time I was a freshman to the time I went to a different high school, right? So, like, I got the worst treatment because nobody knew me. So, nobody hazed me. Nobody did anything to me. And I was like, fuck! At least I could have, if you were hazed, at least you're like, oh, older people, they knew me. I'm popular. But, like, since I went to a new high school, nobody did anything to me. I was like, fuck, I don't know anyone.
So I got very lucky when I got to high school. everyone gets hazed, right? My school is pretty bad. Everyone got hazed, but there's a select few that did not get hazed because I had older sister.
Oh.
There's boyfriend put in the word for me, dude. Anyone that hazes them, I'm going to punch him in the face or something.
Wow.
Right, so I didn't get hazed. But this one guy I knew, right? They they put a lot of thought into this. I'm pretty impressed. Okay, they
Yeah.
bought a fish in the supermarket. Okay, like there was a supermarket right beside the school.
Uh-huh.
They took the big fish and they slapped it right in the guy's face.
Woo! That's so Asian, man. Dang.
That's pretty funny.
Wow. Yeah, so a few years before me, like before I was a freshman in high school, there was a hazing incident so bad that the kids got expelled. They like kidnapped some freshmen and like beat them up and then put them back in school. So, that that's why hazing started becoming less and less of a thing in my county because a few years before I was a freshman, it was pretty bad. But, like by the time I graduated college, I went back to visit my high school to see how those kids were getting along, and they were just so different. You can tell they were just more friendly to each other. Like the American culture, Canadian too, changed a lot. It got more soft, which I thought at the time, I thought it was a good thing. But then it just like it got to such an extreme where now it's like kids are learning about like I could be a girl when I'm a boy when they're like 6, and just how did it get to that, man?
I mean, one of my old professors, professors, he was telling me like he had this theory about bullies. Like we need bullies in our world because like the nerds, just something about the nerds gang being in their little area, right? And they're all playing cards, all doing their research or whatever. That's where they like just start developing their skills to contribute to community and society.
Yeah, that's interesting because since if they can't fight the bully, then they have to contribute other ways, right? What you don't want is a person like me, and I was super nerdy, but since I did kung fu as a kid, I had a few
Yeah.
things out of my sleeve that like nobody would mess with me. Like I was so fearless. I remember I've never told this story. I think I told this story to you one time. One of the most ghetto kids in my school, he was messing with my friend, so I tried to take him on. Of course, his punches were so fast, but it saved me because he threw an overhand right and it hit my pelvis and it hurt my pelvis so much. But bare knuckle, if you punch someone's pelvis, you hurt your knuckle
Yeah.
too. So he backed off, and I was like, for many years, I didn't understand why. He just punched me really hard overhand, like a punch I couldn't even see hit me in the pelvis, and I was hurting, but he went away. It's because he hurt his hand. But like, that's the type of person I was, right? And so like, you don't want a guy like, I mean, people like me have our uses in life, but like we can't fit into one category, right? So like people like me, if we don't develop right, we could become a huge menace to society. Thank goodness I'm pretty cool.
I could see how like society, like we all are good at some things and we're bad at some things, right? And we just need to be put into categories. Yes, everything has to be kind of fair, right? But I don't think everybody should be treated exactly the same. Like it's just not the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
There's going to be people that are like winners, and there's going to be people that just like are just going to be like used and abused or like wasted or bottom of the pile.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned something, it's almost like a hard truth of society, but it's also something that society, the more we face it, the more people that, let's say, aren't good at a traditional thing can do something else, right? And, some people, maybe they're not good in academic school, but that's why there are trade schools. My high school actually had a trade school program where people would take the bus and go to a separate school just to learn their trade. Like I the philosophy behind that was really good. Maybe some people just like being a plumber. They don't want to fucking learn about, I don't know, calculus and stuff like that or biology.
So also like that's the thing about capitalism, right? Like you have to like there has to be competition for it to like get better, right?
Yeah.
Like this like technology or whatnot. But some people like I remember like at the gym there was like this person that cut the grass or whatever, right? And then he was just happy and that's it. Like that's all he did for like the past 30 years or something. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you mentioned something really interesting, which is like when you go to China, right? You see people, their job, let's say, is just to take out the trash,
Yeah,
and they just do it. And you could tell they maybe deep down at heart they wish they studied harder in school, but maybe some of them are like, I just didn't want to study,
yeah.
and this is my job. That's fine.
It's like the being in the monk too. Like being a monk, they uh, they take away all what was it? They take away all ambition or something, right? It
Yeah,
just no. If you don't like want it, then how can you be disappointed?
yeah, yeah. It's very true. It's very true.
Yeah,
Yeah, which turning it back to parenting too, I guess that means you probably have to selectively choose what kind of stimulus you expose your kids to, right?
yeah,
I mean, when I was a kid, when you were a kid, those ads in between the cartoons, man, those ads for toys and stuff were so good. Made me
yeah.
want to buy all of them, but I don't know what kind of ads are being sold to kids now because again, I don't have kids, and also like there's a lot of strict ad rules when it comes to like marketing the kids under 12. Like, what do your kids see?
Okay, so my son is really into Pokemon. Okay,
Hmm.
they are they're genius on this. Like right before Christmas, okay, there's this Charizard trainer box. Okay, and Pokemon like lately, like I did like lately the past 10, actually not lately, the past 10 years I've noticed that like there's just so much coming out, right? All this new one and another new one. It's a lot pump and dump, right?
Yeah.
Before Christmas, there was this pack that all the kids want.
Uh
Okay,
huh.
then they ran out. Okay, so we had to go to the gray market to buy it. It's 200 Canadian. Okay,
Hmm.
we bought it for 350 when it's supposed to be all out. They literally like made almost double. After Christmas, all of a sudden they still have it. And they have it again. And then they sold it for 200. It's freaking ridiculous. I'm like, yo, these guys are making so much money. But at the same time, people will buy them because I made my money back from the Charizard box because I found a card. I pulled out a card that was worth 180
Wow.
Canadian. So basically, I made my money back. Yeah. And then all the other cards made me little by little. Like one's $5, the other one's $10. It just adds up. Like, oh, I just made my money back. But then I would like to think I made my money back. But you know the difference between like PSA 10, PSA 9.
Not
So
too much. I
oh,
don't know about this stuff.
okay, so the card's condition, right? It all depends on the card's condition. So it's like, oh, even though you just pulled it out of the pack, it doesn't mean that it's PSA 10, which is the highest.
Oh.
It's already rare to get the card, but then it has to be PSA 10. So just the littlest thing, like let's say the ink is off, or there's a little bit full, or there's some white stuff on the like crease, right? And then it's like too much whitening, then it's like okay, then it's a PSA 9, which like deflates the price by a lot. But if it's PSA 10, then it's like you're winning, right? Yeah, it's crazy. So
Wow.
yeah, my son got me into it again. Pokemon.
That's so cool. And if you're able to make money from it, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know appreciates like my Pokemon cards when I was a kid. My wife has so many. I sold mine like 15 years ago, so I got pretty pissed. Yeah, I'm pretty pissed about it because I didn't think I was going to have children.
I see. I see. And isn't that funny? Like you didn't like. I don't think I'm gonna have children, but maybe one day I would be like, damn. I wish I still had certain things. It would
Yeah,
help the parenting. Yeah. Exactly.
uh,
Yeah. So, when you and your wife had your first kid, it was like, was it kind of a shock, or was you guys planned it?
okay, so he was kind of a poop.
Oh.
So my wife was yeah, she was pregnant. She's like then like I was thinking okay, I would marry her because like I have a kid with her, but would I marry her without the kid? And I'm like, oh, eventually, right? So I kind of just like figured out, okay, yeah, I should just marry her. Yeah, so far, it's working
I see. I
hard,
see.
working out really hard. Um, yeah, just kids in general are just very, very, very tough to deal with.
Yeah.
Especially like yeah, you can deal with them, but it's just right? They have unlimited energy. Like you literally like it's not just physically, it's mentally too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you try not to lose your shit.
That's the key.
Yeah, you know they're kids. you know how it was like when all you want to do is try to put yourself in their shoes, right? And
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember this. I remember that. But he did this. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow, dude.
Do
I
you
think we,
do you sorry, do you identify yourself as Chinese or I mean sorry, American? Like
I, funny enough, identify as Mexican.
what?
I'm a Mexican. That's my answer to that question. I'm Mexican. I'm just
Ah,
Mexican.
I see.
Like um some of my friends are whites, right? But um I think a lot of my friends in LA are Mexican. So I'm just like I'm Mexican. Since we can pick whatever we want now, I'm Mexican.
There's,
I like the Mexican culture a lot, man.
there's a lot of Chinese in Mexico. Right? There's a lot
That's true.
actually. I don't know
Yeah.
that doesn't have Chinese people.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
kid identifies himself as and I'm like, okay, then what's daddy? He's like Chinese. I'm like,
That's pretty cool.
weird. He's like, I'm like, where are you? I'm Canadian. I'm like, we're not, but okay.
Did your kid have a phase where he wouldn't respond to his Chinese name?
No, he would be,
Uh,
but he'll be like, why are you calling me that? Right? He doesn't like to use his Chinese. Really, just thinks it's like useless. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's something that I've seen in a lot of American born or Canadian born Chinese people is that they have a phase where they really don't want to acknowledge their Chinese side. Like it was different for me because even when I was in Chicago, I still remembered the first few years in China, and they put me in Chinese school, and I was doing kung fu, right? So like I was very in tune with China, and then I went back to China for 2 years. Then when I came back here, I was like, okay, I'm not completely American, so it's like I was very used to that. But I think it's a little harder for people who are born here. Going on a tangent, dude. That's why, dude. That's one of the reasons I think why like there's so much self hate among Asian American or Asian Canadian women. It's because like it really this cultural divide really messes them up, especially if they were from a family that was a little bit patriarchal, you know. But
I,
actually, you go ahead talk about this.
eh, it's almost like it feels like we don't belong anywhere, right? It's like here, it's like, oh, you're from Taiwan, you're from China, and there is like, oh, you're from Canada. Okay, then where am I from? Right? That I had that talk with my sister. Like, oh, we're kind of stuck right in the middle. So,
Yeah, yeah. But here's an interesting kind of thought I had. I mean, some parents are really strict, right? About especially towards their daughters. It's like, come on, date within your quote unquote race, whatever the fuck that means nowadays, because of where society's changed. But are you gonna be one of those? Or are you gonna be like you date whoever you want?
okay, so yes, I think that you should marry whoever you want. But if you were to marry, because like me and my wife, we have not a lot of problems, but just by like the way we are, like even these little differences in me and her culture, like we're both pretty much Chinese, but she is more traditional. My family is like, and even that, there's so much conflict, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, you better be like prepared for like, oh, whatever that comes. Better make that right? Because like maybe let's say you're Jewish and the other person is Palestinian. You know, there's going to be a lot of shit coming your way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Right? And so it's like, okay, you got, just really just calculate that. But if my son goes like, hey, I want to marry this girl and I just love her and like, I can't be without her and all this stuff, and I'll be like, yeah, no, that makes sense. But at least, you have to be sure, right? Because if when problems come and go like, yo, I changed my mind, then that's no. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So true. So true. It's so funny to hear like even you and your wife because you're probably a little bit more you're a little bit more westernized than she is, right? So even that creates a little bit of conflict. Like it's the same even in China, for example. People from different regions in China sometimes can't even get along. So like if you marry someone from a different region of China, maybe it's the same in Taiwan. It's like there's gonna be conflict because of regional cultural differences.
Yeah. It has a political view too, right? Like, my family's like old school Taiwanese, so we. Okay, so from what my mom told me, I'm not sure if she's right, but from what I see, I can see like she's like, okay, the old school Taiwanese people, they want to make peace with China. Like they want to like, just dialogue is the best, right? Whereas a new generation that hasn't been through war, hasn't been through poverty, hasn't been through all that fighting, and just grew up with all that freedom. Obviously, they're just going to be like, yeah, war. I want this freedom. No, you keep this freedom. I'm just like, oh, God, be good because there's going to be a divide. Then once the whole country's divided, it's just like bad, right? But yeah, that's just the old school guys from what.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
so I have a lot of Chinese friends. I always have this talk, but when they pick on me, I stand up for myself.
Yeah, you gotta do, man, because most Chinese people are very brainwashed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even when I spent 2 years in China, when I came back to America, I was like, man, those Taiwanese people are annoying. That's how I was taught too. So, and I only spent 2 years in China under that brainwashing. So you gotta stand up for yourself.
They always go like, for instance, oh, we crush you anytime. You know that? I'm just like, oh, and then he's always like, look, 1, 2, 3, 4 against one of you. I'm just like, assholes.
I will say though that Taiwanese people grew up with a lot of stereotypes of mainland people too. So there's a lot of stuff they would say. Like the Taiwanese kids in my high school would say shit about China too, which probably was true. But they would say shit. Oh, they put like the really disgusting water from the sink in their cooking. Because you can't drink tap water in China, right? So it's like, yeah, they put that in their cooking, Jerry. Why are you eating like at Chinese restaurants? So like Taiwanese kids would say shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you watching, man, please follow us on Rumble because we cursed a lot in this talk, and I just get a feeling one day I'm probably gonna pay for this. But hey, we're having fun right now, so follow us on Rumble, please. And that way we can talk about this. And next time we go Rumble and talk because at the end of the day, I don't care if too many people listen. Like this channel is one of those channels I really don't care too much about. So not that I don't care about you guys, it's just like I got other things going on. So just like if we can rant and you guys want to join us, we can do it in a more, what's the word, lack of fear way? That's the wrong word, but it is kind of like that. Lack of fear way on Rumble or some other platform. So guys, follow us on Rumble. Yeah. Anyways, Will, I think this is a good stopping point, man. I really thank you. This was really fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will do this soon. Next one will be sex talk, right?
Yeah, exactly. Definitely sex talk on Rumble.
There you go. Be funny.
It'll be really funny. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna end the broadcast now. We can still talk a little afterwards, but here
Okay.
is the end of the broadcast. Here
Okay.
we go. 3, 2, 1. Bye, guys.